What do angels look like? Biblically accurate angel. When we think of angels, the images conjured are often quite similar, radiant winged figures that have many human traits. We see this imagery in classical art and modern depictions, so one would assume this is how angels were portrayed in biblical and ancient texts. But that is far from the truth. But what do angels really look like? Angels take more a spiritual form as opposed to a physical one. There is no real description of what angels' true form is, but there are some descriptions of the bodies they assume, and they are very strange. So let's look at some of the different types of angels. Cherubim. In the 12th century, scholars divided the angels around God into categories based on a hierarchical system. In Christianity, this is referred to as the 3 spheres and the 9 orders of angels because it describes a 3-tier system with 3 types of angels in each tier, but near the bottom of this hierarchy are the cherubim. The book of Ezekiel describes them as having 4 faces, each one representing something different. The lion represented wild animals, the ox domesticated animals, the eagle represented birds, and the human represented humanity. The cherubim had long straight legs with hooves and 2 pairs of wings. You may also see them with regular feet and 4 pairs of wings, a much different appearance to the young plump cherubs we would associate with figures like Cupid that stem from Christian scholars such as Thomas Aquinas, who characterized them as having a burning love for God. The Hebrew Bible mentions the word cherubim also 100 times, but their purpose is still fairly ambiguous. The general belief is that they exist to guard the Garden of Eden, especially the Tree of Life. The cherubim, having numerous faces, have this almost chimera feel, but the human face is something more akin to a sphinx. Either way, something is unsettling about the appearance of the cherubim.
With so many conspiracy theories out there, it's hard to keep track of them all. Welcome to What We Know, where we try to uncover the histories and mysteries of the world by presenting all different theories out there, and the only narrative we push is this. Here's what we know, make up your own mind.
Seraphim. The Seraphim are a type of angel that appears in Christianity, Judaism and Islam, but their importance varies. In Judaism, they are middle of the road, but in Christianity, they assume the highest rank possible just under God. The book of Isaiah describes them as having 6 wings. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Isaiah 6:2-3. From this passage, we can gather that 2 of these 6 wings were used to cover their faces, 2 to cover their feet, and the last 2 they used to fly. The second passage describes them as almost as cheerleaders who fly around the throne of God spreading the word of his glory. This description is not as detailed as the cherubim, so all we know for sure is that the seraphim were made up mostly of wings. The book of Revelation only differs slightly, describing their 6 wings as being full of eyes. In Islam, we see the term seraph, which is used to describe certain archangels who were born from celestial fire. Malachim. The term angel derives from the Greek word angelos, which is derived from the Hebrew word for messenger, malach. The malachim are God's messengers who are the most human-like. They are ranked 3rd out of the 4. They acted on God's behalf in the Old Testament, as did the angel of death in Passover account of Michael, the archangel who defends heaven. They frequently served as messengers in the New Testament, such as Gabriel, who informed Mary of her immaculate pregnancy when asked to visualize an angel. Many people think of these named angels. Even though the Malachim resemble humans, there was no mention of their having wings in the Bible. The first known Christian picture of an angel dating from the mid-3rd century lacked wings. It wasn't until the late 4th century that artists began to reimagine angels with wings. According to some researchers, this was done to depict their sublime nature, even though artists were aware that scripture did not describe them as having wings. Ophanim. Next, we have the thrones of the Ophanim. These are about as far from a traditional looking angel as one can get. In Christianity, the Ophanim were entities that acted as chariots or transportation for the cherubim. They were giant interlocking wheels with wings and eyes that would reside in the part of the cosmos where material form began to shape. Like the seraphim, they also chant God's glory whenever in his presence. In Hebrew, Ophanim refers to wheels of spheres. The Book of Enoch describes them as the many-eyed ones and places them in the same category of celestial beings as Cherubim and Seraphim. Their role here was much more than transportation. The Ophanim never sleep and forever guard the throne of God. When Ezekiel has his vision of the great chariot, he describes all three of these angels as the guardians, but given the strange nature of what he is describing, some believe this was a hallucination. Others take this Ezekiel's account as an encounter with UFOs, so no one knows where they came from and why they look so strange. The virtues. The virtues are a group of angels who don't possess a physical body but have control over the elements. They are referred to as the shining ones because they appear as sparks of light. Their main role was to perform miracles for those who were deemed as deserving. They would be given orders from the angels above them and travel to earth to perform these miracles. On earth, they take a human form. There are several types of angels along with the virtues whose primary form resembles a source of light. In conclusion, angels are celestial beings. They are neither male nor female, and essentially, they can take whatever form they desire. Is it a surprise that angels who spend all their time in the cosmos with God are the strangest and most unorthodox looking? No, not really. As if you are talking about regions that are supposed to be outside of our comprehension, then surely the beings who inhabit them would also look out of place, even if that does mean they resemble something you expect to see in a Lovecraftian horror, or perhaps the writings of someone coming down off an acid trip. It also makes sense for the archangels and regular angels to be seen in a much more human light, as they had the most human interaction. The further back you delve into various religious texts, the stranger angels appear to be. As later books were added and revised, the more human angels became the norm, and maybe this was done to make things easier to understand. In reality, we may never know, but it still is interesting to examine. Who is Azazel? Azazel in Jewish tradition was a demon or a bad spirit to whom a scapegoat was delivered, bearing the Jewish people's sins during the ancient custom of Yom Kippur. For the ceremony, 2 male goats were picked at random, one for the Lord and the other for Azazel. The Mishnah describes a rite performed by the high priest in the second temple, after the high priest symbolically transferred all the Jewish people's sins to the scapegoat. The goat meant for Azazel was led into the desert and flung over a cliff to die. Azazel was the embodiment of uncleanliness and was often represented as a fallen angel in later rabbinic texts. The name Azazel stirs up a lot of controversies across many texts of major religions. For one, there appear to be many
If you enjoy this video and want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to us and hitting the like button. Feel free to write a comment below and suggest which theory you want to see next. If you'd like to further support this channel, please consider joining. Our membership link will be found in the description box below. We appreciate your support. And as always, thanks for watching.